What's good, y'all? It is Leah D coming to you live from Sankofa Studio. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. So yeah, this is the Thought Vessel. This is the channel, the Thought Vessel. I'm gonna go into detail one of these videos of why I've named it the Thought Vessel. Because there's some symbolism to that, and it's just me. So like, of course, I had to name it something that relates with me. All right, so like I said, we're using Sankofa Studio. First of all, I want you all to take a moment to cherish the wall. It's giving seamless, it's giving wallpaper, but baby, I did this wall myself. Blood, sweat, and tears, okay? Nice little vibe in the studio. I do candle making experiences here. I host events, spoken word nights, game nights, wind down Wednesdays, you name it. But you can also see, if you look right here, you can see a candle that someone has just made this weekend in one of their classes. I have some dope vessels that you can pick from. Dope vessels that you can pick from to curate your own scent. Anyway, we're gonna hop right into the topic because today we are talking about letting go. Or not really letting go, but today is personal. So we're gonna talk about my need or my experience that I had with being in control, right? So one thing that I believe that there is power in is sharing stories. I believe there's power in sharing your experience so that that gives people the ability to connect. And when I say sharing your experience, a lot of times we share experiences out of negativity, or we share negative experiences to relate to people. Oftentimes you hear it called like trauma bonding and so forth and so on. Or a lot of people relate or connect by gossiping. So that's not really what I'm talking about here. I'm just talking about just straight up raw experiences, things that you have gone through, things that you've reflected on about yourself, so forth and so on. So I think there's true power in that. One, because like I said, you're connecting with people. You're able to connect with people on a deeper level. Two, because people can learn from your experience, right? A lot of times, or there's a quote out there that like, you learn from your experiences, But let me give you all a little cheat code. Not only do you learn from your experiences, you can actually learn from other people's experiences. There are a million and gazillion, I love those a million, gazillion, cotillion. There are a million ways to succeed in this life, but there are not that many ways to fail in life, right? And of course, there are still a lot of ways to fail, but you actually can learn from people's experiences, because if you learn how somebody failed, then you kind of learn what not to do. That don't mean you can't do it, but you learn what not to do. Anyway, I'm going on a rampage here, as I will. So that's another reason why I think that sharing your story, sharing your experience is powerful. You don't know who you can impact by sharing your story. You don't know who the person you shared your story to could impact. So for instance, I share my story with you. It may not be effective to you so you think, but you meet someone a few days or a few months down the line who can benefit from the story that I shared to you, and maybe you can advise them based on information that I gave you. Or maybe I'm hitting you head on. Maybe I'm hitting you in your life. Maybe I'm really connecting or relating to you based on the story that I'm sharing. So yeah, I just believe there's value in shared experiences, shared stories, connecting. I also believe it builds confidence, because a lot of times people think that they're the only people that go through what they're going through. Like, I know you've been at a point in your life where you're like I'm the only one. You feel so down because you feel like you're the only one that's going through it. And it could be anything. Like, I'm talking about anything. But when people are able to be transparent and vulnerable and share their experience, then it makes you, it gives you a little bit more confidence in your life, because you're like, I'm not the only one that goes through that. If she's able to wake up every morning, or if she's able to become a billionaire, or if she's able to drive that car, and she's been through the same thing that I've been through, then, you feel a little bit better about yourself. You feel a little bit better. And lastly, everything is relative. So although I might share a story that might not relate to you, or it might not affect you or be helpful in your life, everything is relative. When I say everything is relative on this earth, everything is relative. The wall has something to do with that tree back there. That tree got something to do with that vessel back there. And my phone got something to do with the vessel. Like, everything is relative. So if I share something today or anytime that you don't think applies to you, just read between the lines, because it applies in some way. It applies to some way, some manner, some fashion in your life, and you can apply it. So we're gonna get right in, because we're talking about control, and it's a little personal, but I want to talk about it, or I do want to talk about it. And we're talking about how I had to really do some reflecting in the past couple of months, weeks, even really years, because it wasn't just a few weeks or months ago that I realized this, but I realized that I have a control issue. And I don't mean like I'm a super control freak, and it's not really apparent from the outside. Like, you can kind of tell some people in their mannerisms that, oh, they're a control freak. Like, you could tell by how she dressed, how she look, how she do things, how she delegates, how she tells people what to do. She's a control freak. And I would say for me, it wasn't really like that. Like, it wasn't really like, oh my God, Leah coming, she about to control, she about to shut the show down, like, she about to be boss lady in this thing. And it wasn't really like that. My control was more of wanting the outcome to be a certain way. And when I say control shows up in many different ways. Like, I will use a couple of different tactics for control. And it's funny because a lot of them were subconscious, and maybe they weren't subconscious. Maybe I'm not using that word correctly, but they were underlying, which means I didn't have control. Like, I wasn't wearing control glasses like, yeah, I'm about to control this junk. I'm about to control the outcome of this junk. But it was just in my nature. It was just what it was. So a few days ago, and I was just telling a good friend about this, which is actually what made me decide to create a video on it. I was telling someone about this the other day, and then today we went hiking, and I just blurted out, I shared, you know what I'm working on, guys, or what I'm trying to give up is my control, like the ability to control or try to control everything. Like, I said exactly this. I'm letting go the ability to try to control everything or try to control the outcome of everything. And I'm reworking myself in a way where instead of controlling everything, it's better to just add value to some things. And what that means is, like, instead of controlling the event, add value and see where the event goes, right? So that's what I'm working on. So I wrote down letting go of the outcome because there are too many factors. And I'm looking down because right before I did this video, I wrote some notes on a napkin, because usually my YouTubes, or the 3 YouTubes that I've done in the past were very like, I'm going off my head, off my dome. And because I wanted to kind of come to the call, I've been in the professional world too long. Because I wanted to come to the Zoom call with, some factuals. Because I wanted to come with you all with kind of like a storyline and some key pointers that I did want to hit, because it's my personal life. I wanted to, write some stuff down. So I wrote down that I'm letting go of the outcome because there are too many factors. Like, when you think about control, and if you are a person that likes to control, or you've been called boss lady or control freak or OCD or whatever you've been called, just let it go. And it's not that easy. It's not gonna happen tomorrow, because it's not gonna happen tomorrow for me either. But there are too many factors that play a part in the outcome. Like, really think about that. There are too many factors that play a part in the outcome of really anything. Like, you got the weather, you got this, you got technology, you got this. So you technically can't control nothing. You can't control nothing. You can't. Like, you think you're controlling something. The only thing that you can control is this vessel. You can only control this vessel. And I'm gonna keep full control of that. But you can't control people around you. You can't control the setting unless you're the only person in that setting. Really think about that. Really think about that. You can't control nothing. So I'm gonna I'm gonna kind of go through how I grew up, just briefly. I grew up super independent. So super independent, kind of taking the own steps or having my own path. I didn't have a super strict or structural household, so I wasn't told what to do 24/7. So I grew up like, oh my God, it's not my dream, mom or dad, it's your dream. Like, I didn't have one of those, like I was literally kind of like living my own life. Like, I created my own path at a very young age, which is why I feel like I've always been aligned. Like, I've always walked the path of alignment. All right, because I really had say so in my whole life. Like, there was no like rebel era. Like, there was just me doing what I wanted to do, be who I wanted to be, making decisions that I wanted to make, and either my parents or my household was in line with those decisions, or I was sneaking away to go do those decisions. I wasn't a terrible bad person, but I just did what I wanted. So that created a very independent woman, which is what I am. So because I had to take a lot of action growing up, because I had to put in place the things that I needed for me to do certain things, that is what made me, like, that's kind of what triggered or started that controlling type of situation. So if I wanted to go somewhere this weekend, I was young, in middle school or high school, I had to put it together. Or I wanted to do this, I had to put it together. Or I wanted to do this, I had to put it together. Even to like when I think about my friend group, growing up with my friends, both middle school and high school, like, people around you don't always know what they want to do. They know they want to do something. They know they want to do something, but they don't know what they want to do sometimes. So I even found myself, because I'm a doer, like, I'm a implementer by nature. I'm a actor, I'm an implementer, I am a doer. So, oh, y'all want to have fun this weekend? Oh yeah, we about to go have fun. I don't care how many Lyfts, Ubers, people we got a call that we don't know. Like, we are going to get there, we're going to get back, and we're going to say that we had a good time. So I always found myself controlling or being like that motherly ruler figure amongst the people in my lives. So I always felt like I had to control the outcome, or if I didn't, and this is probably one of the main reasons that us as controllers, or and it's not even us as controllers, because we're not like a unit, like we're not controllers unite, like, it's just something or instinct that everybody has in their body, but some people's is stronger than others. So everybody has that sense to control sometimes. Even if you're not a controller, you still kind of have that ability. And mind you, I'm so chill. So like, I don't control everything. It's just certain, when I know I want the outcome to be a certain way, I'm gonna control. I'm gonna control, like, or put my input, like, oh no, we should go there, we should drive that, we should do this, then we should do that first. You got a mind, take a mind, it's closed at that time, so if y'all wanna be here, we gotta do this. But like, I'm learning to let all that shit go. Unless I'm providing value, like, unless this is just some valuable information, cool, I can drop my little gem here and there. But if it's a matter of trying to make the outcome different, like, I'm letting it go. I'm letting it go. I have no control of the outcome. And another thing, and this is what I was about to say before I got rudely interrupted by myself. What I was about to say was, the reason us controllers or the reason we want to control so bad is because we are trying to control the outcome, duh. But the reason we're trying to control the outcome is because we're trying to manage or pre-manage or preconceive our feelings when the outcome comes, right? So think about it like a relationship. You want your partner to do this, and when they do that, then you're going to feel happy, or you're going to feel joy, or you're going to feel good inside. But if we kind of reverse engineer that, how do you know that that's going to be the outcome? And if you try to do all that controlling in the beginning to try to get this outcome that never comes, then you just end up being mad at yourself. And you kind of end up being mad at the person, you know? So, you know, I'm looking back down, because I'm like, am I hitting the things that I really wanted to hit and talk about? Because this is just me sharing at this point. There's no action item for you to do. There's nothing for me to do. I'm just reflecting, sharing, and about to post this soon because we're hitting 15 minutes. But yeah, so I just had a group of friends, and it might not even be your friends, but people who are doers or people who are seekers or just adventurous, spontaneous people, you probably can always note that people around you don't always have ideas, or they don't know what they want to do. They know they want to do something, they just don't know what they want to do. And that's not a bad thing. I think everybody in this world has their place. We got the workers, we got the entrepreneurs, we got the business owners, we got the investors, we got the educators, we got the motivational speakers. Like, everybody has their place. Just because I'm an educator and you're or just because you're a motivational speaker and I'm an educator or a labor worker doesn't mean that one is better than the other, because this is a cycle of life, and everybody's part in life makes life work. So back to what I'm saying. You have these people who really don't know what they want to do in general, so you feel the need to control the situation. So I'm independent. I grew up independent. I had a lot of friends that we didn't really know what we want to do, but I was just so eager. I just wanted to do. I just wanted to do everything. So I just felt the need to control. So this is just my life. So where are we going here? Oh, another thing is, I just wanted to have control over my life. So that's, I think, the third ticker that I have written down. I just wanted to have control over my life. Who doesn't want to have control over their life? And I do have control over my life. I have to accept that just because I can't control people or things or events or circumstances, I can still control me. And how I will control myself is to let go of trying to have the perfect outcome. Because I know at the end of the day, the outcome isn't dependent on me. It's dependent on all the factors of that, or all the variables in that equation. And if that outcome still doesn't produce the result that I want, then I'm going to be upset anyway. So not only did I have to let go, or do I have to let go of my controlling thing about myself, but I also have to let go of a certain feeling or emotion that I want to have for a certain outcome. So I think it's just a matter of, ultimately, I think all that wrapped up in a pretty nice bow just means to be present. Like, just be present. Why are you worrying about the outcome of something that has yet to come, because you don't even know all the variables that'll play a part of it? And if it does produce a result that you weren't expecting or didn't assume, you're going to be angry and mad anyway. So if we just live in the present and just bite off the chunk of each cake and just enjoy the flavor as we go, then all that worrying, all that assuming, all that extra stuff can kind of dissipate, because it doesn't exist. Like, I think we create scenarios in our head and try to have other people and the weather and everything live up to those scenarios, and then we get mad when shit don't go the way it was supposed to go. Like, is that not insanity? Like, have I been living insane? I'm sorry, I'm looking at my forehead because that thing is shiny. But yeah, that's insane. Like, that's insanity. Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Who said that? Like Albert Einstein or Frankenstein, or I don't know who said it. But yeah, it doesn't make any sense. What's the last thing that I wrote in my video? Seeping into controlling others and expecting outcomes out of them. Oh yeah, so basically what that brought apart, or what that brought as well as me wanting to control, was, I kind of already spoke to this, but it also brought me wanting to control other people. Because what happens is, when you control outcomes, or when you get used to controlling outcomes, getting your way, manipulating, like doing slick stuff to manipulate the situation, then what happens is you start to get beside yourself. You're like, oh yeah, anything can go my way, anything can go my way. And then you start to try to do it to others, right? And that's the toxic part, where you think that you can do stuff, say stuff for other people to achieve an outcome that you wanted. Like, it's kind of like manipulation. And what happens is, especially in a relationship, because I went through this, you expect things out of others, or you try to do things or say things or drop advice or opinions, or set scenarios up so that a certain person can act a certain way in that scenario and they can live up to that test. But you end up just disappointing yourself. And you end up like unfulfilled, because you thought that you could create a situation or scenario that you really had no control over in the first place. And one thing that I've learned in this life, and I'm only 24, is that you don't have control over anybody but yourself, especially not a human. Like, you can't control people. But that's all I got for y'all. I said my spiel. Let's just take it one day at a time and kind of reflect on the things that we do and don't like in our life and change it. Because like I said, we might not have control over other people or other circumstances and situations, but we definitely have control over what we can do. And I'm just telling y'all, let's start today. Like, let's let go of that control aspect. There's no need to control anything, anyone but you. So good day, y'all. I'm tapping out.